last Sunday, the gospel reading was one of my favorites, the gospel about Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. Now, there's a lot of details in this reading that a lot of times we might skim over or not think too hard about, but that I think are very important for us in our faith. The first being that when Jesus' disciples came to him and told him that this man who he loved, one of his closest friends, Lazarus, was very sick and was near dying, he was moved and was sad to hear that he was so sick, but he just stayed where he was for 2 more days. He didn't leave. So it seems almost like he doesn't really care for Lazarus. It seems like he's just doing what's easy for him. But the thing is, that's not what he's doing. He knew exactly what he was doing from the moment he heard that Lazarus was sick. He intentionally stayed there 2 days. He intentionally waited until Lazarus was going to be dead because he knew what he could do with that, and it was going to be incredible. So once he finally decides to go back to Judea, to where Lazarus was, the disciples with him are a little concerned because he had just come from there, and the Jews in that area were trying to stone him because they were so perturbed at the things that he was doing. They were so against it. They thought that he was a liar. They thought he was a false prophet even, and they were trying to stone him because they were angry. They didn't believe he was the Son of God. But he says, I have to go back because my good friend is dying. And he says, he knows at that point that Lazarus has died. And he says, we're going to go wake up Lazarus. And to be even more clear, when the disciples don't understand him the first time, he makes it clear. He says he's died. So the disciples, also friends of Lazarus, go with him in sorrow to go visit with the family. And it's then that we see Jesus meet with Lazarus' sisters, Martha and Mary, who we've seen before in different stories in the Bible, particularly that story of Mary and Martha, where Mary sits at Jesus' feet and just listens to his teachings when he comes to visit, while Martha rushes around and tries to get everything done and is a little annoyed at Mary not helping her. Well, now this time, we see when he arrives, Martha is the one who comes to Jesus first, and she says, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. She's upset with him. It's meant to be kind of a little bit of a stinging comment. She knows that Jesus is so powerful and that he's healed all these people. And she's a little angry that one of his closest friends, their brother Lazarus, he wouldn't even come to heal him when he would heal strangers in the streets. He would heal people he didn't know. So she comes to him a little annoyed, but she says, I know that whatever you ask of God, he'll do for you, even now. And Jesus says that he will rise again. And Martha, being the good Jewish woman she is, she says, yes, I believe that he will rise again at the end of time. But Jesus makes it clear again, not at the end of the time, I am the resurrection and the life. Anyone who believes in me, in other words, Lazarus, will be able to rise from the dead if you believe in me, if you believe that I am the resurrection and the life. And she says, okay, I believe. She then goes to get Mary, who's at home with a bunch of the other Jewish people who came to comfort them in their sorrow. And Mary then comes to Jesus as soon as she hears that he's called her. And she says the same thing, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. She's upset as well. And he asks them to lead him to where they buried him. And when they get there, he sees the sorrow that all of them are feeling. He cries with them. This is the one time we see Jesus cry in the Bible. It says Jesus wept. He not just cried, he wept. He joined them in their human sorrow. He showed his full humanity and that he can walk with us in our sorrow and in our hurt. And he shows that to Martha and Mary as he weeps at the death of Lazarus. But he knows that this is not the end. And he uses this as kind of a foreshadowing of what's happening in just a little bit over a week at Easter. And when he rolls away the stone of Lazarus' tomb and he calls out to him, Lazarus, come out, and he comes out. Though he's bound in the burial cloths, he comes out and he's alive. What a miraculous thing. Something so beyond anything that he had done before. And something that even made some of these Jewish people who had been wanting to stone him before, it made them come to believe in him, some of them. I think this is so important for us to reflect on this story in our lives today, because how many times do we say, I have this issue in my life and I'm asking God to help me with it. I keep on praying for help with it, but God is doing nothing for me. It seems like he's ignoring me. Just like Mary and Martha must have felt, Jesus is ignoring us. We called for him to come and heal Lazarus, and he's staying where he is. He's not coming to help us. But the thing is that even when we think that God is not coming to help us, that Jesus isn't hearing our prayers, we don't know what he has in mind. What Jesus had in mind was so much greater than anything Mary or Martha could ever imagine. So too in our lives. A lot of times when we feel like God is not listening to us, it's because he has something so much better planned for us, so much greater planned for us. And we need to be patient and still believe in him, even though we may get frustrated and say, Lord, if you had been here, this wouldn't have happened. Just like Mary and Martha both did. But we need to keep the faith and know that Jesus can do anything for us. He can heal the deepest wounds. He can raise people from the dead. And he is still working in our lives in that same way as he was all those years ago. And as he was with Lazarus, and as he was with himself when he rose from the dead at Easter. We're just about a week and a half away from Easter now. And it's really time to focus on that unbelievable healing power that Jesus has. That even the biggest thing that binds us, death that binds us, that's the scariest thing that we can think of. Jesus is able to overcome even death and break the chains of death so that we don't have anything to fear anymore, even the most fearful thing. Because as long as we have Jesus, we have power over all of it through him. He has the power to make good out of anything. Even out of death, he can bring new life. Let's focus on that as we enter into Holy Week. And I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful Holy Week. And we'll see you next week.